Monsoon.
Welcome to the Monsoon.
Oh my god, it's Atomic Monsoon again!
What? Where?
I don't know.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Oh, other than some technical issues, I'm doing okay today.
Yeah, no, that was weird with the whole technical stuff, but I'm glad we're here now talking.
Yes. What's today? Today is Friday.
The 24th.
Today is the 24th of March in 2020.
April.
So, April. Oh, God, it is April. Okay.
It's April.
Yeah. It's been a long 38 days since I've gone into the office. So, you know.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Andy, do you realize the last time I stood in my classroom was the Wednesday before spring break, which was like the first Wednesday of March. And then I went on a field trip, came back, went on spring break, and then haven't seen my classroom since.
I did not realize that. The last time I was in the office, it was literally 3/16.
Hey, that's my husband's birthday.
Hey, well, that's the last time I went into the office. I mean, I've been working, right? Fortunately,
yeah.
Right, Voice America has been kind enough to let me work from home and let me take my computer with me and stuff. So I've been able to do work and get to continue having a job, which is nice. I know not everyone right now is in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't, other than going to the grocery store a couple times, I still haven't left the house. So I did see one of my neighbors while walking the dog today. She's also a graphic designer. She was walking her dog, and we were standing about 6 feet apart. We did talk for about 10 minutes about everything. But otherwise, yeah, my only contact has been my roommates. So
there you go.
Super exciting.
Hey. So what are we talking about this week?
Well, so because everyone's locked down and doing the best they can from home, a lot of the high school seniors this year aren't going to be able to walk their high school graduation.
And, a couple of my students, including my own brother, is one of them.
Oh no! Yeah. So we thought we would talk about some of our favorite memories from high school, which will be interesting because we graduated several years apart.
What year did you graduate, Andy?
I graduated Y2K, in fact, year 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
I graduated in 2013.
Yeah, so quite a few years apart.
Oh yeah.
And a lot had changed in those 2 years, right? So
yeah.
So when I graduated in 2000, some kids that I knew in high school had cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
But most didn't. Most anyone who felt like they needed some sort of contact device on the go had pagers, or beepers, as we used to call them, because they beeped. Let's see. Social media did not exist.
Mm-hmm.
I was still on America Online on dial-up.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I can hear the sound in my headphones right now.
Welcome. Yeah. So I guess social media did exist in a way. It was chat rooms and message boards.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly was not, MySpace or Twitter or Facebook or anything like we recognize now. Wikipedia was about 1.5 years old when I graduated high school.
Wow.
Google was about 1.5 years old when I graduated high school. Yeah. So, streaming didn't exist. Like that was this is something we want to do, right? Streaming video. Like, I mean, it existed. There were some people who were had downloadable content. Voice America was about 6 months old when I graduated high school.
Dang.
Yeah. And considering Voice America, the company that I work for and that lets us do the show, they've been around since I want to say September of 1999. They just celebrated their 20th anniversary. So yeah, I was finishing high school. I was starting high school when Voice America, or starting my senior year of high school when Voice America launched. So,
wow.
Yeah. It was a very different time in the world.
Yep.
Bill Clinton was finishing up his last year as president of the United States. Yeah. I don't know if it was that I was not aware of it or if the political divide in the country wasn't as big as it is now. If it was, I certainly didn't know. Let me think. Gasoline costs about $1.25 a gallon. Yeah. 2000 was a. Oh, also we had all just gotten over a big panic about computers not knowing, like no one knowing what to do if the computers didn't reset their dates correctly.
Oh, that's right.
Microsoft, when they built Windows, only built a 2-digit date column, and so, or 2-digit year column in their calendars and stuff. So nobody was sure what was going to happen when that 99 rolled over to 00 again. Now, it's funny because the actual story and the media reporting on the story were two vastly different situations. The media was reporting, we don't know what's going to happen, and this is a problem, and why hasn't anyone done anything? Meanwhile, people like my aunt, who was a computer programmer, she's retired now, but was a got called in by Microsoft and the government to make sure that nothing happened, and and called in in 97. Like, this was a problem that people saw coming and knew was going to be an issue, and just took steps to make sure it wasn't a problem. And so people are like, oh, Y2K was such a big scare, and look, nothing happened. And like, well, yeah, nothing happened because there were people working 75+ hour weeks to make sure that Windows didn't stop, or DOS even didn't stop working.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Shout out to my Aunt Shirley for taking care of that, and everyone that worked with her. And,
yes.
But
it's kind of crazy just how different they are. Like, I kind of I was looking up a few things, like, okay, what was big in 2013? And you're like, social media was definitely stronger. Almost everybody had smartphones. I think there were still there was select few here and there that still had like keyboard, flip phones or slide phones or something. I looked up, I was like, okay, what else was kind of like a big thing in 2013? Just to kind of remember, I think that was the last time we got a new pope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was when Paul Walker got killed, sadly. It was sad news, but that was a big kind of deal in pop culture.
Yeah. Okay.
It was when twerk and selfie got added to the dictionary, apparently.
Wow.
And another thing that I remember being kind of this is when everyone started doing viral trends, like things you would see on YouTube. Okay. And Vine was a big deal at the time.
Oh yeah, Vine was a thing.
Vine was a thing. But yeah, everyone was doing like Harlem Shake. Do you remember the Harlem Shake?
I vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big trending thing that was happening in the year 2013. So, but yeah, no, it definitely is interesting to see kind of the differences in just technology and pop culture and stuff like that in the matter of 13, 12 years. But
yeah. It was just such a, I don't know, for me, it's everything that we have has happened during my adult life, right? Like all this technology, social media, YouTube, right? Wikipedia, Google, all of this has happened effectively during my adult life. So to me, I had a childhood that was kind of free of technology. I had, like I said, I had the internet, I had AOL. We got that at the end of my freshman year of high school.
Gaming devices.
So I had a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo and a Genesis. I bought a Sega Saturn in '97, and then we got a Dreamcast in either late 99 or early 2000. Or no, I guess it was after I graduated because I didn't have it yet when I had graduated. And I had I think we got the PlayStation. Maybe that was the next one we got. So yeah, we had some video game stuff. I had one of the original gray brick Game Boys with the pea soup green screen.
Oh God.
Yeah. The Game Boy Advance came out the following year, 2001, I want to say, right after I finished high school. So yeah, even my video game technology, was still very much kind of the 32-bit era moving into the later stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Nintendo 64 was out. I don't know that we had one when I was in high school. Because my brother picked that one up. I want to say maybe later. So yeah.
Okay. But
But yeah, by the time you were graduating high school, like were the PS4 and the Xbox One out?
no,
No.
they were not. It was still Xbox 360 and the PS3.
Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't come out until I want to say close to the end of my like I think the Xbox One came out when I was in college.
Okay.
I think kind of towards the beginning, maybe like sophomore year of college.
I mean, they came out within a month of each other, so.
Yeah, and then the PS4 came out like a month later, and by that point, like, you know, everyone I knew still had like the PS3 or the Xbox 360, and then by the end of like senior year of college, everyone had the PS4 or the Xbox One.
Right. Yeah. The Xbox was a. So let's get into some stories from my senior year.
All right, let's go first.
Yeah, so this was one that I actually hadn't written down, but since we're talking about video game stuff,
okay,
which we tend to do on the show,
indeed.
One of my classes senior year was computers for multimedia, and it was kind of just early learning how to use Photoshop, how to use God, what was it? It wasn't Adobe Premiere. It was the predecessor to Premiere, whatever that was called.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't remember either.
Movie Maker? I don't know. Something
like that. Yeah. Anyways, we had one of our projects was to build a like 1 or 2 minute video based on a sect of technology and of like new technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I built we had to clear all of our topics with the teacher to make sure it was going to be something that was, you know, A, class appropriate, and B, that there wasn't any overlap.
Yeah.
So because I got to go kind of first, I was like, I want to do something about the new video game consoles coming out. You know, the new ones, the PlayStation 2 and the Sega Dreamcast and the Nintendo's Project Dolphin, which ended up becoming the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And the Xbox had been announced by that point, but it wasn't a thing yet. Like, hey, Microsoft is doing a video games console. It's probably going to be called Xbox, I guess. And I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't even include it in this video. I remember one of the other kids in that class did a video about this new technology that we were all just learning about called MP3s.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's where we were at.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do we want to go through a bunch of my stories first and then go into yours, or do we want to go back and forth? How do we want to do this today?
How are we gonna go back and forth?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's something that happened to you in 2013, Stephanie? Or 2012, 2013.
2012, 2013. So I'm kind of thinking like along the lines. I know we were talking like briefly like tech and video games and stuff. And
yeah.
And I mean, I was taking a class. I took it pretty much. I say all 4 years of high school, but I didn't take it my sophomore year because I had to get other credits out of the way. But sure. I was in and out of the class so much with my friends that I might as well have been taking it. But I took a class called TV production in high school.
Okay.
And that taught me how to film and edit and the whole 9 yards, and it was a really fun and cool class that I took, and I really enjoyed it. But I remember my senior year, we were required in the class to we had to participate in filming or setting up filming for like an event that was happening at the school.
Okay.
Well, I was so heavily involved in marching band and color guard that I decided to go set up. To go help set up before one of the football games, but I had to clear it with the band director first to be like, hey, if I'm done and ready and I've checked everyone, and I even had to check with my other fellow guard captains because I was guard captain at the time of the guard, mm-hmm. One of them at least. I had to check with a few people to be like, hey, is it okay because I have to have this for a class, if I'm ready to go before call time, if I can run out, help set up for the game with the TV production crew, and then come back, would that be okay before call time? And they said, oh yeah, no, it's fine. As long as you're ready. And, I had 2 other captains who could inspect everybody else, and they understood, okay, it's for a grade. Sure. Yeah. Fine.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was kind of like one thing I had to do with that class. And it was kind of really neat. Another thing that we did, like we got to make our own projects. So I remember making this, I made this whole video based on this one Star Wars book I had, and it was, oh God, I went back and watched it. It's so bad. It's such a bad video. I was like, oh God. But it was a ton of fun, and it was like the first class of the day for me. So, I show up to school and I get to make movies all day, at least until second period. Then I had to
Nice.
go to math class.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Fun fact: my computers for multimedia class actually wasn't taught at the school I was going to, because it was 1999, and not every school had a proper computer lab yet, right? So
Yeah.
I walked to the school that was a block and a half away from my house, like at. I want to say school started at 8:15, and I had to be there by like 7:40 to catch the bus. And I was right on time, or like a minute late, and the bus driver would catch me at the end of the block a lot. Which, whatever. It's hard to get teenagers up as it is, right?
Yeah.
And having me get up an extra half hour early or whatever, like, yeah, good luck. But yeah, then we would get bussed off to a school across town, which is actually kind of right between my house and where you and your lightsaber syndicate practice.
Yep.
And then I would get, like, middle of second period, we would get bussed back to my home school, and then I would go into third period. And we would literally get there like right as the third period was starting. So yeah, I actually, and it's weird, because I had transferred schools senior year, I ended up not in the yearbook of my home school, but I ended up as an unphotoed senior in the other school's yearbook.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
I want to tell this story, and it's not actually a story that I was involved in. I wasn't there, but this story was kind of legendary amongst my friends. And after we had come up with this conversation, the next day I actually happened to talk to the friend that this happened to. His name's Chris. In fact, he told me to use his full name, so Christopher Erickson. This story is for you. So there was one day where one of my previous schools. So it's not a senior year story, but it is a legendary high school story. It is the turnstile story. One of my previous schools was not prepared for rain, and there was a monsoon, because Phoenix
Arizona.
has, yeah, because Arizona. Yeah. Also, we're Atomic Monsoon. Why wouldn't I tell the monsoon story, right?
Exactly.
So the school got rained out, and the school, like, literally water was coming in through the doors of the classrooms.
Oh my gosh.
Like, there was so much rain, it was like 3 inches of rain coming in through the bottoms of the doors of the classroom. So we all got sent home. I lived about a mile away from the school at that point, and my mom worked in the office. So we waited for the rain to die down, and me and a couple friends went over to the grocery store down the street, and then me and one of my other friends were going to walk back to my place and just play video games for the afternoon until his parents got off work and could pick him up, and then my mom would get home whenever she got home.
Yeah.
And so, like, cool. Like, we all worked that out, and this friend had been to my house before, so his parents knew where it was going to be, blah, blah, blah. So me and the two friends walk over to the grocery store, and I guess right after me and the other friends left to go to my place. So Chris is there, and he's walking around the grocery store, and we were all just kind of there. We got some snacks, got some sodas, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. Chris is waiting for his mom to pick him up and goes over to the magazine section. And there was an attractive young lady looking at some magazine. And, Chris was kind of peering over the magazine he was looking at and looking at this girl, whatever, trying to work up the nerve to ask her out, because high school kids are weird.
Yeah.
And then this other dude turns the corner. And again, I wasn't there, but this is the way Chris has told the story every single time he's told it.
Okay.
This guy turns the corner, looks at the girl, and goes, yo, baby, yo, you looking fine. Can I get them digits? And Chris reacted much the same way you just did, Stephanie, just burst out laughing. And the dude looks at Chris and goes, yo, you think this is funny? And, like, Chris doesn't know, like, how do you respond to this, right? How do you respond to this situation?
You don't.
And so the dude raises a fist and charges at Chris like he's going to attack him.
Yeah.
So Chris steps out of the way. The dude lunges with a punch and gets his hand stuck in a comic book spinner rack, or, a turnstile.
Oh my God.
And his like momentum and speed and the force of his punch put his hand like right through one of the comics, and the dude ended up falling with him on top of the comic rack, his hand lodged underneath it, and he was stuck and couldn't get out.
Oh my God.
Chris and the girl laughed and walked away, like walked their separate ways.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I laugh so hard is a part of me is just thinking about the old, was it a Mad TV skit? I can't remember. But it was an old TV skit where it was like the guy at the movie theater hitting on the girl, being like, "Hey, yo, girl, can I have your number? Can I have it? Can I have it? What's your boyfriend? Getting Mike and Ike's?" It made me think of that. And I'm just like, oh, there's the origin story.
Yep.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I hope I remembered all the details in there. Chris and I did talk about that story afterwards because I was very excited to have this opportunity to tell it to a larger audience. I hope you guys thought it was funny. If there are any problems, I'm sure I will hear about them, and I will correct myself next week. But yeah, the turnstile story. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo. That's great. I love that so much. I'm gonna switch gears for just a quick second because you mentioned that you rode the bus to and from the school, which is interesting. Because my senior year, I actually had my driver's license. I actually could drive to school, but I only ever drove my parents' car on Fridays to school.
Okay.
Because we had two cars, but Mom was home at the time because she was dealing with some health issues at the time, so she was home a lot. But I couldn't exactly take the car because she needed it to get my brother to and from school, and he was at the elementary school across the street. And when I say across the street, I don't mean like literally like you could walk across it. I mean you had to kind of get out of the neighborhood, go past a major intersection, and then go into another neighborhood, and there was the school. Yeah, so
like close, but not close enough to send a kid to walk to an elementary school.
Or bike there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially at that time, because I think he was still fairly young at the time.
Yeah.
But I think he was almost ready to move on to junior high. Anyway, so she needed the car to take him to and from school, and because he started school at a later time and ended at a later time, and I started school earlier, and I actually had early release, she would just come pick me up after school, and I would take the bus, every day. Except for Fridays when Dad was home, because my dad had the Fridays off. I was able to take the car and drive myself to school, which was nice.
Yeah.
But that just kind of reminded me of that, so I thought I'd tell that kind of funny story. But I'm going to switch gears to my actual story I was going to tell now. So my senior year of high school, so like any high school, there's a theater department. Oddly enough, in high school, I was not involved in the theater department.
What?
Yeah, marching band and guard does not leave you any time at all to be involved in it.
That's fair.
So I had time to go see the shows. I just did not have time to be involved in them. So senior year, I was talking with a friend of mine who I actually have known since freshman year of high school. We actually had classes together freshman year, and it was funny. So people actually made fun of us in our freshman year math class, saying, "Oh my God, you two are so cute together. You guys should totally go out." And we both looked at each other, looked back at them, and both went, "Ugh." Well, because I had my very first boyfriend ever in like 8th grade, and the thought of just dating anyone my freshman year of high school was just not on my mind.
Sure.
And no offense to the guy at the time, but it was just my friend at the time. I was not interested. We were just like friends talking, and these guys were just jerks.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it was kind of a really funny thing. But we stayed friends throughout the rest of high school, and he told me that he auditioned for the play that they were doing. They were doing Dracula.
Ooh. And
he got the titular role of Dracula.
Nice.
Well, I hadn't seen him since my junior year because we had physics together junior year, so I hadn't seen him since then.
Okay.
We were still talking and texting each other and everything like that, and I just heard that he was going to be playing the role of Dracula. And I was like, "Dude, that's so cool. I'll have to come see the show. When's the show?" And he's just like, "The shows are, like October 30th, 31st, and November 1st. And I said, "Dude, you're missing Halloween."
Yeah, but he was playing Dracula on Halloween. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So I told him, like, I'm going to come see the show, and I'm going to come bring you, like, a big bag of candy. Because I knew there was going to be leftovers. So I went to go see the show, brought him the candy, and after the show, like, I want to say 10, maybe 15 girls were, like, all over him.
Oh.
And I'm not saying he's not like he's a good looking dude. I mean, I'm not saying like he's not supermodel good looking, but he's a fairly good looking dude. And the way he played Dracula, okay, yeah, I could see how any girl could fall for that.
Sure.
Oh, Twilight was a thing at the time.
That's fair. Yeah.
Anything higher, yeah. So, but anyway, so I came up to him once the crowd kind of moved away, and I was like, "Hey, the show was awesome. Really loved it. You freaked me out, by the way, when you suddenly appeared in the back of the theater, and your voice boomed to the front. I was like, holy crap, where'd you come from? Because you stormed right down past me in the aisle." And then I handed him the bag of candy and everything, and it was just really funny. And oddly enough, that that gesture, and after seeing him with that, and like seeing him while passing each other to and from classes every day, actually led to us going out.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and it was really funny because all the other girls in school were like, who saw the play, were like drooling over him, like, "Oh my god, he's so amazing, he's so hot, he played Dracula, he was so great." And meanwhile, I'm just here like, what the heck's with them? Just my friend who played a role in the play. Actually resulted in us like going out because oddly enough, he actually got suspended for like the last week of the second quarter before break.
Oh.
And we had been texting throughout the whole break, and the first day back of school, I see him as I'm, walking to and from classes. We passed each other again, and I see him. I'm like, "Oh, hey," and I shout his name from like across the courtyard, and he comes back and he rushes over and he's just like, "Oh, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?" And immediately I'm like, "What?" I'm sorry, what? I'm still a senior and I'm still awkward. What? Yeah, no, we actually ended up going out for the rest of senior year of high school, which was really kind of funny because it's like when everyone tells like the starstruck stories of like the girl who's not interested in the guy but still falls, they get together type thing. It's like that actually happened, but it wasn't with an actual celebrity. It was just my friend who played Dracula.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
sounds pretty good. All right. What are we doing on time here? Oh, we got plenty. Okay. All right. So when I was a senior, I at the school that I went to, there was we did half the year was economics and half the year was government, right?
Okay.
So each grade was, or I guess seniors, like half the seniors did government first, the other half did econ first. So I was in the part that did government first, and so what's up?
No way, me too.
Hey, awesome. So my teacher decided, hey, there's going to be a final test, and the schedules get all weirded out for finals, right? Where they end up taking a little bit. They give you fewer classes per day, but they're longer because they want the comprehensive final tests. They want to give you plenty of time for that. So he was like, well, we're not going to have a comprehensive final. We'll just have the final test of the semester, and then we'll have a pizza party afterwards, right? We'll call out for pizza. So it was the first final class that day. Normally we had it right after lunch, but this, however it all worked out. So we get done with the test and 30 minutes in, something like that. Everyone's done with the test. Everyone's doing okay. And he's like, cool, let's call out and order some pizza. So there were, landlines in the classrooms at the time. So he literally just called up on the phone and called Domino's and was like, hey, yeah, which was the closest pizza place. I was like, hey, we'd like to order a couple, some pizzas, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, we don't deliver before 10 a.m. unless you call a day in advance. Mm-hmm. To which one of the kids in the class retorted, who calls a day in advance for pizza? Which was a good point. Yeah. Also, how are you going to be a pizza delivery place and not deliver pizza? Yeah. Right? I guess I get it, but I don't know. Anyways, so it's been 20 years, right? I graduated in 2000. This was the end of 1999. I'm pretty sure statute of limitations has expired. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get this teacher in any trouble. I don't know if he's still teaching. I'm not actually 100% sure if he's still alive. I hope he is. But he gave a couple of kids a hall pass to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And about 20 minutes later, those kids came back with a bunch of pizzas. So he said, listen, if you want to go do this, I am not in charge of it. I am not responsible for it. Mm-hmm. But here is some money. And if you happen to come back with pizzas, I won't complain. But if you get caught, I'm not taking the blame for this. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll go to the bathroom, and came back with pizza. So that was kind of fun. And then I remember specifically, I grossed out everyone in that classroom because there were like the little solo containers of ranch, right? Yeah. There was one left over, and someone said, "Hey, who wants this little bit of ranch?" And I said, "I'll have it." And I walked up to the front of the classroom, opened it up, and just drank it straight like a shot right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It grossed out half the class, and the other half were applauding. So, take that for what it's worth.
There you go.
Much like our listeners right now, I'm sure. So.
Yep. Either you laughing or applauding you.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of a fun moment.
That's awesome. My last class of the day in high school was English, senior English. And I had it with this teacher. Her name was Miss Bake. Like baking food type thing. Sure. And she and just complete coincidence, she had the same first name as me. Oh, so I don't think she's listening to the show, but who knows? Yeah. Hi, Miss Bake, if you are, you're awesome. But she was my favorite teacher my senior year. Aside from the band director and my guard instructor and the TV production teacher, like the people who I had like all 4 years of high school. Yeah. Don't count. This is strictly just senior year. Okay. Because senior year I was taking, I had. Like Ken, like what you had, I had math class, which I took, which oddly enough, my brother has the same math teacher as me. I told him I'm sorry.
Oh no.
She wasn't a bad teacher. She was just kind of crazy.
Okay.
Just in a weird way, and it was like, it's hard to describe. But, sure. And then I had, government first semester, econ second semester, guard fourth period. And then this was the last class of the day. Okay. And so, at least for me. And so she was such a cool teacher that, whenever she would go, to go use the restroom or something, because I think the teachers' bathrooms, were directly across the hall, or had to go grab something from the printer or whatever it was, and she had to leave us alone for, 2 minutes, tops. She would always say, no sex, no drugs, no violence. Be right back. Okay. And we were just like, okay. Sounds good. We won't do anything. So we'd sit there. Some people pulled out their phones and start doing something on their phones. Other people would keep working on whatever it is we're working on. Others would just turn to each other and start talking. And we just kind of kill time until she got back. Well, and that just kind of happened the whole school year, and it was really, really cool. Another thing that was really cool about her is that we read a lot of, we read a lot of stuff, because for some reason senior English is a lot about English literature. Right. And so we read Beowulf, we read Hamlet, we read Brave New World, we read, I think it's called The Stranger. Okay. Don't quote me on that, but either way, it was about some dude whose mom died, and he was kind of just an emotionalist guy. I don't know, it was weird. Okay. It was a weird story. But we read all these stories, and one thing that she said at the beginning of the school year that I still remember to this day that always made me laugh was, "Welcome to senior English. This is the class where everything we read, this is the class where everybody dies." Oh no. And we're like, wait, what? We were kind of confused on what she meant by that. And it's literally every piece of literature we read, people died. Oh no. We read Beowulf. There's death in Beowulf. We read Hamlet. I think there's only 2 people who live through Hamlet. Yeah. Yeah. We read Brave New World. A lot of people die in Brave New World. And so we're reading all these stories, and it was crazy. And after we would read each story, we'd either watch a movie that was actually based on what we read, or we would watch a movie that had a similar thematically the same, but thematically the same. I think we watched when we read Brave New World, we watched it stars Charlize Theron. It's about the future. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, Somebody's Wife? No, it's it starts with an E. Aeon Flux, something? Aeon Flux, yeah. Aeon Flux, that one, yeah. Okay. So we watched that movie, but when we read Hamlet, we watched the Lion King. We watched the Lion King, yes, but we also watched I'm trying to remember actors' names and saying those at the same time. But we watched one of the better live action versions of Hamlet. Okay, sure. So, we kind of watched all these things, but
Did you guys watch that crazy CGI Beowulf?
we did.
Oh boy. Okay.
That was crazy and weird and kind of trippy.
Yeah.
But that class was super duper fun. And I just remember toward the end of the school year, the last thing we read was The Importance of Being Earnest.
Okay.
And I remember vocally saying, I don't think I said it to her, but I think I said it to other people. And I know I said it to other people. And it was just like, I am actually upset. And they're like, why? And I said, we are reading The Importance of Being Earnest and no one has died. She promised us people were going to die in senior English. No one died.
No one died in that one.
No one died in that one. People fell in love. And it was just like, why is that the thing that's disappointing to me?
Because high school kids are weird.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
But no, it was a cool class, and it was a great one to kind of end the day on before, my mom would come pick me up and bring me home and everything. So, or at least until, because we had a weird schedule at my high school where Wednesdays and Thursdays were block days. So Thursday, I would actually get out the same time the rest of the school would, but it worked out because I also had band practice or guard practice immediately after. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Did you go to prom, Stephanie?
I did go to prom, Andy.
Okay. I also went to prom. How many proms did you go to?
I only went to one prom, my senior prom.
Okay. I went to 2 proms.
Okay.
I went to prom my freshman year. Again, I know this is supposed to be senior year, but my senior prom story isn't very interesting. My freshman prom story, however, I went to a small charter school, and there were like 115 students in the entire school.
Wow.
And that was grades 7 through 12. So it was a very small school. And I was on student council because, like I said, my mom worked for the school. So like I was there after school anyways. So I figured, well, I might as well get, some credit for something rather than just sit in the principal's office, like waiting for my mom to leave. So, yeah, I during one of the student council meetings while we were talking about prom. So it was sophomores and older could go to prom. Anyone younger could go if they had a date that was at least that old, or like a sophomore could bring a freshman as a date, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of my student council cohorts was saying that she was very disappointed because the date she was gonna bring to prom offered to bring her to Dairy Queen for dinner. God. So she dumped him on the spot.
Okay, yeah, good call.
And was like, well, now I don't have a prom date. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't have a prom date and I kind of want to go, but I'm only a freshman, so I could go with you. Like right in front of everyone, right in front of the other, 8 kids in student council, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, not even thinking that this was going to be awkward, right? I was just like, I could go with you, right?
Yeah.
And she was just like, yeah, okay. And like, kind of everyone was just like, wait, what? Right? Because like we were friendly, but we weren't like friends. Like we didn't hang out or anything. We just, had classes together and we're both in student council. And to qualify, like she was a very attractive young lady, like very attractive young lady. And I was not on it, not that looks are the most important thing, right? But like,
you weren't an attractive young lady?
I was not an attractive young lady. I was a very average looking kid.
Okay.
Like I mean, I wasn't bad looking, right? But like, no. I was, if I was a McDonald's sandwich, I would have been the McMediocre.
Okay.
And she was too high class for McDonald's. So, yeah, so that ended up being, like unexpectedly a little awkward, right? Just, I was trying to help a friend out. I was trying to find a way to go to prom. This seemed mutually beneficial, right? And great. So we went and had a pretty good time, and we both danced with each other and other people, right? Like other friends and stuff, because like, we were not dating. We just happened to be each other's dates. But my friend from the Turnstile story, his date, for whatever reason, and I don't remember the details because it's been 20-something years, she said something about my date. Something very negative. And while me and my buddy were inside at the like buffet table eating food and drinking fruit punch, they were apparently out on the balcony of the place we had rented out for the prom, like about to get in a big cat fight.
Oh my gosh.
And like it was like pull apart. Like people were holding them apart from each other, right? Meanwhile, their dates are me and my buddy, and we're inside just eating and joking around and having a good time. And like 10 minutes later, we find out what happened. We're both like, WTF, which wasn't even really a saying back then.
Yeah.
We were like, what in the world happened? And I still don't know. But yeah. So that was interesting. My senior year, I did ask a nice young lady out. She couldn't get out of her work schedule, so we ended up not going together. Another friend had asked me basically kind of the same situation where I was in the first time. So she and I ended up going, and then one of her friends wanted to go, but it was, I think that at that school it was juniors and seniors only, and that girl happened to be a sophomore, I want to say. So I ended up having 2 dates for my senior prom. So, of all the weird fates that you can have in a prom, not the worst one.
No.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so my senior prom. So I didn't go to prom in my freshman year.
Okay.
Even though it would have been really cool because they were having it at a hangar over at Mesa Gateway, which was nearby enough to my school.
Oh, yeah, that would have been
cool. It would have been really cool to go do and go check out, but I didn't go because I just was a freshman. I didn't go sophomore year, but junior year I had the ability to go, but I opted not to and decided to do an anti-prom.
Okay.
And by anti-prom, I mean I invited my best friend at high school over to my place. We had a sleepover and we stayed up watching movies and playing video games and eating Dr. Pepper floats and just having a great time.
Nice.
But senior year, I was like, okay, I probably should have a prom experience. And if no one asks me, I'll just go with friends. And my dinner and food of choice, I'll go to, McDonald's or something, pick up some food, and just go on my way.
We ended up not going to Dairy Queen for dinner, incidentally.
Okay.
Because my date and her cousin both went to the school. They had already reserved a limo and had already made reservations at a fancy Chinese restaurant that doesn't exist anymore called the Golden Phoenix. So we did end up going out to dinner before prom. So yeah, but we didn't go to Dairy Queen. So yeah. Sorry, I meant to mention that earlier and forgot. So
you're good.
So you guys, with your. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. So so I was planning kind of like for a while that like if I was going to prom, I was just going to go with friends and I was just going to, just say, I've gone to prom, I've done the thing, and I want to keep it as cool and casual as possible in the sense of like what I do outside of it. Like I'll find a nice dress, I'll dress up, but won't do much else.
Yeah.
Well, turns out because I was dating my friend who played Dracula.
Yep.
And he was a very attractive guy, as I learned and discovered as we were going out. That he was no longer this lean, thin guy from freshman year. He was now a dude who was like towering over me with like built muscles. And I was just like, what the heck, man? And we had kind of been flirting with each other all through, junior year. But anyway, not all through junior year. I was dating someone else at the time during junior year. It was later. But anyway, so I went to senior prom with him, but I told him, I'm like, do you want to go? I said, like, are you interested in going to prom? And he's just like, yeah, no, I'm interested in going. And he's like, why? Are you wanting me to ask you? And I was like, well, I mean, I'm like, dude, if you ask me or not, I don't care. As long as we go, I'll have a great time. And he's just like, sounds good. And we had like a whole conversation. And I mentioned, and this is kind of like a sad pity story, that I had never been asked to dance before at any of the dances I went to. So when the slow song started, all my friends who had like a boyfriend or a guy that they were close with would all dance with them. And I was kind of left awkwardly standing there. So that's usually my opportunity to go to the snack table and grab a snack.
Okay.
Or go to the bathroom. Or just awkwardly just sway there and sing along to the song if I knew it. But I kind of mentioned this to him, and time went by and we move on. And then one day he comes, picks me up because we're going to go see a movie together. And he comes and he drags me over to his car. Now he drove I think he's still driving it, an old Ford Taurus.
Okay.
And so he drags me over and he's just like, hey, I was talking to my buddy at work and he says that my license plate's all crooked. And I'm just like, what? And I look down at his license plate and I'm like, your license plate looks fine. I don't know what the heck's wrong with your buddy's eyes. And 3 seconds later, the trunk pops open. Like, this thing doesn't like pop open slightly and then you have to push it up. Like, no, it full on like Jack in the Box popped open.
Oh,
and there was a sign that said, will you go to prom with me? with a cute little plush dog and some Kit Kats and some flowers.
Aww.
And I was just like, oh, okay, that's sweet. And I freaked out for like 5 seconds. And I said yes, obviously. And then we went off and did our date. Well, our prom theme my senior year was Skyfall, the James Bond movie, because that came out before.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So, when I told my family that, like, yeah, I got asked out to prom, they're like, okay, here's what we do. Because I have been a tomboy all of my life, audience.
Yeah.
Me in dresses, only recently have we started getting along. So my family, especially my mother, my grandmothers, and my aunt went full out. Like, they're like, there's only going to be 2 opportunities in our life to doll you up. It's going to be your prom and your wedding. We're doing this. And I was like, okay. So they took me to, like, we went and bought me a nice dress that made me actually look like a Bond girl. They took me and got my hair and makeup done. They took me and got me spray tanned. The whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards for prom.
Okay.
They, like, rented out a BMW for us and drove and, like, chauffeured us to prom. They took us to, like, a really nice Italian restaurant that didn't really sit well with me later. But yeah, no, so they took us to prom and I was just like, well, damn, all right. So it was me, my date, and my friend who was in guard, and she was a year younger than me, so she was able to go.
Okay.
And we went to prom, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of dancing. Me and my best friend did a lot of dancing together while our dates were just awkwardly dancing behind us. There was, the crowning of king and queen and the whole 9 that goes with prom. And it was just a lot of fun. 2 things that sucked about it. One was my friend who was riding with us forgot her bag. She remembered to grab her shoes and her phone, but she forgot to grab her bag.
Oh, no.
So she didn't have her money, her credit card, any of that stuff. So that sucked.
Yeah.
And we tried calling the place, and they were like, oh, we don't have it. And we're just like, okay, nice. Great, guys.
Yeah.
The other thing that sucked was that, the whole prom is called Skyfall. Not once did they play a James Bond song.
Huh.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity.
It definitely was. And especially with me, because I actually was very surprised. And I look back every now and then, like, at the prom photo, and I'm just like, man, I really do look like a Bond girl. And he was like, James Bond. Man, what the heck?
Oh.
So it was really kind of funny that way. So.
All right. Here's the thing. We have about 5 minutes left, and I have a hell of a graduation story.
All right.
So before we go, I want to say thanks to our friends at Def M Records for supplying our music. I want to say find us on social media at Atomic Monsoon everywhere. Atomic Monsoon on Twitter and Facebook, Atomic_Monsoon on Instagram. You can email us at atomicmonsoon@gmail.com, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's why this was such a great idea, Stephanie.
Okay.
The kids that are graduating high school this year because of the COVID-19 outbreak are not going to get to walk their graduation. I didn't get to either.
What?
Yeah. So what had happened, because I had switched schools a couple times during my high school career, my credits were a little bit all over the place. So did what I could after school, right? Like trying to travel across town on buses, or if my parents happened to be home that day, like getting rides, trying to get all my transcripts taken care of so that I could make sure I graduated on time. Because otherwise I would have been a couple credits short and not been able to graduate anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one day where my mom was like, cool, we're just going to take the day to make sure you go to the other 2 schools and we get everything taken care of, get all your credits, in order, and you get to graduate. Great. Okay, cool. So it turned out the school that I graduated from, which I'm not going to mention, but it was definitely Saguaro High School in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, weird. I know that school.
Yeah.
I don't work there, but I know it.
You don't know it because I'm not mentioning what the name of it is.
Nope, I don't know what it is.
Nope. Had a policy and might still, where when graduating, girls had to wear fancy dresses and boys had to wear black slacks with white or light colored button-up Oxford style shirts. They took exactly one day to go to everyone's English class and tell them about this dress code for graduation. Now,
this is the day you weren't there, where was it?
This was the day I wasn't there. Now, so here's the thing. It took one day to tell everyone in English class. Because of my interesting high school career, I had taken English and a couple of creative writing classes, which meant I actually had more English credits than I needed to graduate. So I didn't have an English class my senior year, which and then so they took. I'm sorry. There were maybe a couple things that got passed out during English classes. Everyone that didn't have an English class, they had one day set aside to bring them all to the auditorium to tell them about the dress code. That was the day that my mom and I went around to my other schools to make sure that I had everything I needed to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got this message that there was a dress code.
Oh.
So I showed up to my high school graduation wearing new jeans that I'd worn, maybe a couple times before. I had them for a couple weeks, maybe a month, right? But they were clean, they were new. There was no fraying anywhere, no holes in the knees, which was very much the style at the time. And just a blank black T-shirt, right? No graphics on it or anything, just a blank black T-shirt.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to be wearing the graduation gowns over what we're wearing anyways, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, I not to swear on the podcast, but kind of who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to be seeing maybe 8 to 10 inches of my jeans below the gown.
Yeah.
I don't have the gown on, but I have it in hand, right? And I'm going into the school, and the assistant principal stops me and says, "You're out of dress code." And I say, "What?" And she goes, "You're out of dress code. You need to go home and change." And I was like, "Nobody told me that there is a dress code." And she was like, she basically said, "BS, everyone knows, go home and change." So like I said earlier, I lived a couple block and a half away from the school. So I walked back home and threw the gown on the floor and told my parents and my mom's boyfriend at the time what had happened. And all of them were kind of incredulously upset. Rightfully so, because they were all getting ready. They were, my parents were getting ready to watch their firstborn finish high school, right? This was a big moment, right?
Yep.
My parents had 2 kids. I'm 5 years older than my brother. They weren't going to get to go to a graduation for another 5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they're all like, "Okay, well, this is crap." So all of us get in the car and caravan back up to the school, and we're trying to find anyone who will listen to the story and try and figure out what's going on. So the other thing to remember is that we were a very middle-class family, despite living in a kind of nicer neighborhood. We're very middle class. I didn't own the required dress code. So in order to acquire this, I would have had to have gone to the store
and bought it.
Tried on a bunch of different kinds of pants and stuff and bought it and then come back, right?
Yeah.
Which means I wouldn't be showing up until halfway through graduation anyways. And the whole situation is kind of complete crap. So we end up finding a couple of teachers and the girls' soccer coach, who I'd never met before, and so we get talking and we are like, "Okay, let's go check the drama department. Let's go see if there's any." At this point, we're like, "Okay, we're not going to get you the entire outfit. But let's go see if we can find you some pants at least that will they won't be jeans under your graduation gown. We'll just throw the gown on over you. No one's going to know. It'll be fine." Okay, cool. We go to the drama department, look through the costumes. No, there's nothing. There's nothing in my size. The girls' soccer coach is like, "Well, we're kind of about the same size. What if we swapped pants?" And I'm like, I guess so. So we go into the men's room and we're both in there and I'm undoing my belt and I'm unzipping my fly and I go, "Dude, this is effing stupid." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Listen, no offense. I'm not wearing another man's pants to my high school graduation." And he was like, yeah, this is dumb. Okay, yeah, don't worry about it." And I was like, "Yeah, cool, great." So we go and redo our pants and stuff and walk back out. And everyone's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Listen, I'm not no offense. I don't know this guy. I'm not going to wear his pants to graduation." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. That was a stupid idea." And I remember one of my favorite things about this night is it was the first time that my dad ever admitted that he was completely wrong and I was completely right. When he said, "No, see, Andy, this is like when you go to a black tie restaurant and you walk in the door and they tell you need to go change or else you can't eat at the restaurant." And I said, "No, Dad, because in that instance, I can go to a different restaurant. I can't go to a different high school graduation." And he looked at me and goes, nope, you're absolutely right. This is effed up. This is BS. Like,
Yeah.
right? It was the first time ever that my dad just 100% dropped his argument and admitted that I was completely right, which I take as a point of personal pride.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically it turned out I didn't get to graduate. I got to stand there at the gate, at the chain link fence of the football field, and watch my entire class graduate, and I didn't get to. I just stood there and watched.
I'm sorry.
And so, my mom went on, like, as soon as graduation was over, my mom tore across the football field right to the principal and, like, almost physically assaulted him and was like, you just ruined my son's high school graduation. And he was like, what happened? Because he had no idea.
Oh, God.
Right. So we ended up setting up a meeting with him, like, either the next day or a couple days later or whatever. He was kind enough to refund the money for my graduation gown that I didn't get to use. He apologized profusely, and we ended up going to the school district board meeting a couple weeks later and explained what happened to them. And they actually set a rule. So in the Scottsdale Unified School District, no school can actually turn away a student from graduating for being out of dress code.
And as a teacher who actually works for the Scottsdale Unified School District, I have looked this up since you have told me the story originally, and it still exists.
Yeah. So 2 funny postscripts to the story, and I know we're way over time, and I apologize for that. One, my brother graduated from that same school 5 years later, and when they were being told about the dress code, they actually mentioned me.
Wow.
They said, you don't want to be like that kid from a few years ago that graduated who wasn't in dress code, or that other kid who wasn't in dress code and didn't get to walk graduation. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm actually like something of a legend at the school now, which is pretty cool. Secondly, when I graduated college, which was 10 years later because I paid for everything out of my own pocket and blah, blah, blah. I did walk graduation because I was like, no, listen, I'm walking one of these damn things. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't get to do it in high school. I'm doing it in college. I don't care. And so I was all set, right? And like I was kind of working part-time at the college, and so the place I was working was running the camera and everything. So they were like, "Can we cheer for you?" And I was like, "Yes, please do. Please make as big of a deal as possible about this." Right? And so I'm all set to like cool, I'm there. I got my hair down, I got the gown on, got the cap, everything looking good, right? And as I'm walking up, I'm ready to like hold up 10 fingers to show it's been 10 years, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm all set to just be like all out.
Yeah.
And then they mispronounced my last name.
Oh, no.
And it, they all still cheered. Everything was still good. It was all fine, but it did kind of deflate the moment for me. And so at some point I've got to graduate from something else. And I'm going to have to like have a proper graduation.
Yep.
So I don't know, maybe I'll go get a master's degree or a doctorate or something someday, but
yeah.
Anyways, so to everyone who doesn't get to walk their graduation this year, I feel ya. I didn't get to either for even dumber circumstances than you don't get to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we I know I had a couple more stories left to tell, but it looks like we are out of time. I didn't even tell my graduation stories, which are kind of crazy.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's completely fine. I mean, we were totally enthralled in talking about our amazing kind of humorous senior years.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe we'll do another episode and we can continue the senior year stories. Maybe add a few college ones if we want to.
Yeah.
At a later date.
I'm sure I can come up with something else. So.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. And as a teacher who, this was my first year teaching, and I really didn't get to see it through to the end in the normal way.
Yeah.
I definitely feel you students who are about to graduate, and of course my brother who doesn't get to graduate at least the normal way. This is definitely a hard time, and all you college seniors who've been working so hard and master's degrees and doctorate people. Hopefully everything works out in your favor. And hopefully you get to find a way to walk across that stage in some way, shape, and or form.
Yeah. Even if it's like an honorary one next year or something, that would be. I don't know if any schools will do that, but it would be cool if they did.
Yeah, for sure, sure. So, yep. Well, I still want to tell a story, but I know we're running out of time. I don't know what to do, Andy.
You know what? I think we're over time on our live broadcast episode. So just go ahead and tell it. People who are downloading get an extra few minutes.
All right, cool. So I'm just gonna tell my quick graduation story. So, my graduation in high school was fairly normal, and after doing 4 years of marching band, 4 years of color guard, of winter guard, I had a pretty busy career in college. I had lettered like 3 times and things like that. But I was definitely no honor student or anything, so I just had the regular. For us, it was green because I went to Basha High School in Chandler, but I had a green cap, the green gown. And so my graduation, so the morning of our graduation, we had a rehearsal at the high school on the football field. And after the rehearsal, we then had, a fun little meeting between all the band seniors and the band directors, and it was a really nice, sweet moment. But when we're at this rehearsal, the principal makes the comment to everybody that if you did not finish, your credits or you didn't take your finals or anything like that, you can't walk. So they told us that, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense, right? And I knew of a couple people who were probably not going to be walking, and he lists off their names, sure enough, and he says, if you come up to the stage right now and prove to me that you actually did get this stuff done, and it's just because of teachers and grading and things like that, it hasn't gotten in yet, we'll fix it and you can walk. Well, so he lists off all these names. One of the names he lists off is actually a girl I did guard with for 4 years, who just in the middle of senior year disappeared. She just dropped out.
Okay.
I still saw her on social media, but I just didn't see her at school. So she just dropped out. And another was this one girl who actually had a baby like 2 days before finals.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. So it was just like, okay, and I didn't recognize any of the other names, and so whatever. But the night of the graduation comes, and so my high school is one of the lucky few that actually gets to hold their graduation at Arizona State University inside of what's now no longer known as Wells Fargo Arena. It's now known as Desert Financial Arena, which I think is kind of dumb, but oh well. Yeah. But, things happen, titles change. But anyway, so we held our graduation there, which was really, really cool. It was a really nice graduation. The one thing that I always kind of take away from it was that it was actually kind of sad at one point because the student body president, who was also, I think, he was just the student body president. He was up there on the stage and he was making a speech, and he pointed out the fact that, there are some of us here today who are never going to be able to graduate with us. And he made a reference to a girl that I was actually surprised, but almost every senior knew her name, that actually committed suicide between sophomore and junior year. And it was crazy to suddenly see over 500 students start crying. And I was just like, what the heck? I knew her personally. She was a friend of mine in school. I had in class the year before, but I was definitely saddened, but it was just surprising to see a lot of people crying by this. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was such a big deal to everybody. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that was kind of a big thing, but it was a neat graduation. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was still with my boyfriend at the time.
Sure.
Flash forward 4 years, I'm graduating from ASU. Walking across the same stage, this time as a theater major. And I will say this right now, because I went to my husband's graduation, and his graduation was the engineering one, so it was kind of long and dull and 50,000 names that nobody can say and pronounce, that went on forever. We told him, we said, hon, your graduation was boring.
Oh, no.
It wasn't against him, but they were graduating over 1,500 students.
Sure.
And a majority of them were all not from the United States.
Right.
With names that if you weren't listening very well, and especially at the seats that we were sitting in, and the speakers weren't broadcasting it well, it sounded like gibberish.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But my graduation from the fine arts department and everything was a lot of fun. It was really cool. The dancers would dance across the stage and get their diplomas and things like that. So it was just kind of neat to graduate from 2 different schools, but on the same stage. That's
a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah. It's even more, I think, unique the fact that my senior year of high school graduation, when I walked across the stage, the first person I shook hands with was the superintendent of the district, who was also my principal in junior high. And then the next person I shook hands with was my actual principal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and one final thing. Sorry, this is taking for a while, but you know how you mentioned your whole dress code thing? So we actually had a dress code as well that we were told not to wear tennis shoes or sneakers or things like that.
Okay.
I wore a pair of shimmery, sparkly Vans on my feet. And I got complimented by the assistant principal, like, wow, what nice shoes. Very comfortable. And I was like, yeah. Well, all the other girls are in heels and flats and things. I was just like, comfortable. And they
You broke
nice.
the dress code and got complimented for it.
I broke the dress code, got complimented for it. But if you actually look at it, it's actually not like I wasn't wearing regular Vans or disgusting sneakers or anything like that. I was wearing a pair of Vans that were still fresh out of the box. And literally, if you shine a light at them, you would have blinded like 50 people at once.
That's pretty great.
So, yeah. So that's my story.
And we're sticking to it.
All
right, guys. Well, we are definitely way over our intended amount of time.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. We were getting messages here from our vice president of broadcasting who said it's fine. So all good. But thank you so much for joining us again. Find us on social media at Atomic Monsoon or Atomic_Monsoon, depending on where you're looking. Visit our friends at Def M Records. One of the guys at Def M Records actually graduated college with me the same year. In fact,
that's cool.
Yeah. So that was fun. We both got to graduate. There may be some photos of us somewhere together.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any funny and cool stories from your senior years of whatever, please share them with us. We want to hear about them.
Yeah. Actually, please do send us an email at atomicmonsoon@gmail.com. And I'm always checking that, every day to make sure that we get stuff, see if we get anything in. So yeah, please let us know. Let us know any fun high school anecdotes that you have. All right, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.